Hi, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today, I kind of want to do a little conversation about a host of different witchy topics. I like doing videos sometimes when I'm talking about more than one thing, and this is going to be one of those videos. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was understanding how spells work after the fact a little bit more. And honestly, it takes a little bit more. I'm going to call it advanced witchcraft, advanced witchery. This is where we're not looking for a spell. How do I say this? Basically, I'm talking about you're doing more complex spells now. That there are a lot of moving pieces, there's a lot of moving parts, there's other energies at play, and you basically did a magical working so that all of those things align to, whatever this result is that you want. Okay, so a good example of something like that is you want to start a new career in a new location, and you want to have people in your life who are supportive, including a romantic interest, and you also want to live a healthier lifestyle. I realize that some people would encourage you maybe not to do that type of working all at once. It's sort of, I would categorize something like that as maybe a new lifestyle, my new lifestyle spell, or the new me spell, or big changes for me spell, something like that. Believe it or not, those titles matter because that's part of the intention right there. So something with a lot of pieces. So we're talking about, you want a new career, you want it in a totally new location. Let's say it's in another country, across the country, a few states over. You want to meet people who are supportive of you in this new lifestyle that you have. You want a romantic partner who's also engaged with you in a way that you're flourishing still in your life, and you have room for them and they have room for you. And on top of that, you want to make healthier choices mentally, spiritually, physically for yourself so that you can sustain this new lifestyle. That's a great new lease on life. That's your new lease on life. That's what you're basically saying, right? You want a new lease on life, and you want to do things a lot differently. So that spell, there's a lot of pieces to that spell. You have to find a job in a location you desire. Ultimately, once you're there, you're going to want to meet people, eventually meet a romantic partner, and somehow while you're doing all that, adopt a healthier lifestyle. You work out, you watch what you eat, you meditate, prayer, spiritual connection, whatever you do, right? And you tend to manage your feelings and emotions a little bit better. So you get on a discovery how to do that. Maybe you have therapy, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things. When we do things like that, because I've recently did something kind of like, not that exact thing, but there's a lot of parts. And I did a magical working for that. So it's not just one thing, one big thing I really, really wanted. There are several things in that, but ultimately I just called it a prosperity spell. And I wanted to share sort of, because sometimes when you're looking at the results of your workings and how the universe is working to match your energy that you put out, or the vibration that you're on, it might not look sometimes how you think it's supposed to look. So, in this example, you get fired at your existing job. That could be step one. And that's a tough pill to swallow, because you're like, well, I need to have some money. I need to sustain myself while I'm in my original location before I can move. But sometimes things may not need to work that way, and it's really hard. You have to stay aligned. When I say that, in these types of moments, you have to stay in it, and in what the greater good is, the thing that you're bringing to you, the very thing that you manipulated energy for. So if you get fired, it's obviously, you got to think, okay, well, this is one going to put fire under my butt to make things happen faster, to get things moving, because I need to find a job now. It's possible, if you're someone who has, you were in a position where you had money. Let's say they gave you a severance package, you got laid off. So you've got money now. Let's say they give you a lump sum severance package. You could move. You just go to your new location and then look for a job. The point I'm making is sometimes the order doesn't go in the order you plan in your mind, because there's so many moving parts. In order for A to happen, C have to happen, so things get reversed, and the universe is just moving the puzzle pieces and moving everything so everything fits for the overall picture. Okay? And that's the part you're going to have to relinquish some control over, because you put the energy out there and it's going to happen. It is going to happen, but how it happens, that's the tricky part. And this is not to scare or to warn or to even cause any kind of concern, like something's bad and it's a negative thing. It's not a negative thing. It's really not. It's not a good or bad, black or white. It's more like, well, things are moving and that's just the direction they're going in, so you can get to what you want. So when doing magical workings, when practicing magic, witchcraft, you have to make room for that. And the bigger the stakes, the more moving parts, the more messy it might look in the process of everything kind of coming together. It's kind of like when you're cooking and you're making something, you're throwing everything in a pot. Initially, you chop everything up. It's, everything is separate, and you might, if you use meat and or certain ingredients uncooked, it doesn't look that nice. But when it's done, it's a beautiful dish, and it's everything that you intended for it to be. It tastes like, smells like, everything you intended for it. But those raw pieces, ingredients, they're not all appetizing or edible initially. In the first, in the whole process, the cooking process, you still can't eat it because, the food's not cooked all the way. It's not going to taste right, or it could hurt you. But it's important that you allow yourself patience and the food, the patience to cook and to get to the right temperature and everything to congeal and, meld together to make this perfect dish, right? And it's kind of like that. You did all of this spell work, all these workings, you got the ingredients, you said the right words, your intentions were there, you stayed aligned with your intentions, and you see stuff happening. You see the things happening that looks like it's moving into the direction that you intended. Okay, sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's hard to stomach it, Again, back to my example, so you lose your job. Okay, so fine, you move out to where your new destination is that you want to be, your new location, and you are on a serious leap of faith. And that's what I talk about here, taking these leaps, in this case, into witchcraft, into spell work, into believing in yourself and your power. As far as I know, we only get one life in this physical form, in the existing form that you're in. So live it. And, it's going to involve scary chances. It's going to involve taking risks that scare you, that scare you. But I look at it like this. If you were confident enough to do a spell for something, big life-altering changes, like I said, I gave everything, career, love, everything in this example. But let's say you're somebody who you want a major lifestyle overhaul, and you're doing spell work to make that possible, to move energy so everything is aligned a certain way to make that possible. Guess what? It starts working. Be prepared for it to work. So why am I saying this is more like advanced witchery? Because a lot of moving parts. There's kind of a spell on a spell on a spell in here, right? So once you kind of come to the decision that, okay, so I may have to go out on faith and just move out to this new location. We're still an example. I go out to this location, I get started, I look for a job, the job you first get may not look like the job you thought you were going to get. This grant, whatever that career change was, but you work for a company, that is great. Of course, there could be an alignment here. You might need to meet somebody at that company in order to get to the job, or you might need to just be at this place at this time because the new position, that one you really want, that's going to be right for you, it's not ready yet. There has to be a way for that to happen, and you have to allow the universe to make that possible. But you wanted to be there because that was your spell. You want a new location, so you got that part of your spell. That result happened. You moved. Okay, it's like I said, the order is, it could get a little wacky for some of us, the way the order of operations that the universe works in. I want to say there isn't a way to there's a way to shield yourself a little bit more from things getting too wonky, wacky wonky. When you're doing spell work, there is a way to sort of protect yourself, and that's adding even more layers in your spell work. And that's you want to have certain crystals. You might want to do, when you're doing your initial workings, remember we're talking about a lot of things, not just one thing. You're going to infuse certain, I want to say logic, but yeah, logic within your spell work and your charms, the things that you say, that you're speaking into existence. You want to make sure there's some protective barriers in there, but nothing to restrict the universe for providing what you're asking for. So it is going to be a delicate balance because, you want to protect yourself, but you don't want to restrict. So yeah, there is a way to do that. Wiccans would say, the threefold law. So, they don't want, what's that thing they say? And it harm none. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you follow me, I'm sure you've heard this Wiccan thing before about not harming yourself or somebody else or something. Anyway, forgive me, I forgot. I'm removed from it. I used to know this stuff. I don't follow it anymore. But anyway, there is a way to go about doing that. It's tricky. It takes practice, and you've got to make it your own. You can find other people's stuff. Like I said, I could share things here, but it needs to resonate with you. It needs to make sense to you. So, and it depends on what it is that you're even doing a spell for. So anyway, but ultimately, yeah, the universe is going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to work the way it's going to work. And like I said, the order of operations may not be what you agree with, but you're going to get what you ultimately were asking for, maybe in some kind of reversed order, though. Unfortunately, that you gotta go with it, because and trust that the greater good will prevail, because you're putting that energy out there for it to be. That's the energy you're vibing on. That you deserve the good, all the good. You deserve these things to happen to you. You put the energy into it. You're staying aligned with it. You deserve this. Yeah, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to meet so-and-so, and I'm supposed to have this life. This is how I see it. This is it. This is how it's supposed to be. And that's how you have to feel about it. You have to be really strong in your convictions about this lifestyle that you see. This is under the umbrella of more advanced witchery. and I'm just saying witchery. You can call it what you want, but this is more because you are seriously in tune. No one can tell you differently. You may have people in your life who, ooh, why are you moving over there? You don't need to go over there. Why? You don't know anybody in XYZ. Why would you want to go to this place? Stay here. You may have people who decide they want to tell you how much they love you and want you to stay, a romantic interest. And it can cloud your judgment a little bit, because you're like, wait a minute, now should I stay? No. Fun thing though, in a situation like that, let's go into this, because I like to add a little bit of complexity to it, so you can get it with examples, so you can kind of get a good idea of what I'm talking about. Same example. So someone does come to you, someone maybe from your past who you had been romantically involved with, and they let you know that they would like to continue a relationship. They want to get back with you. They know you're leaving, and they want you. They want to support you, and they understand you have these dreams. And you always talked about wanting to leave this area and go to wherever, and they totally respect that, and they get you. Okay, invite them to come. That might be part 2 of the spell working. You're moving. You got your romantic interest that supports you in this lifestyle that you want. Boom, there you go. You never said necessarily, it had to be someone you never met. The universe is just fitting that prototype of the energy you put out there. Boom, that's the guy or the girl or whatever. I'm just saying, you need just be open. Now, if the person's encouraged you not to go and they're kind of anti everything you're saying, we know that's not the person for you, and this is someone who's just distraction. Which leads to my next point. Don't assume distractions, obstacles, or some evil force stopping you from practicing your magic or realizing the resolution to your spell. Sometimes it's just lonely people who will miss you. Sometimes it's just somebody being a jerk, and they just, because they can and they do, and it affects you adversely. Sometimes other people are just lazy and they don't move your paperwork or do whatever the thing is they need to do so you can be on your merry way. Sometimes that just happens, and that's just life. And there is not a grand conspiracy in the spiritual realm to keep you from moving forward. And if you think like that, and if you let those thoughts build, you will systematically break down the magical workings that you've done, and then you will have a real problem on your hands of this, all these moving parts. Some parts might fall. You might get some, but not the support of others. So be careful with allowing that type of thinking coming in. I could easily classify that as negative thinking, but it's more than just negative thinking. When you truly believe, and a lot of people coming from Abrahamic faiths struggle with this, where there's this entity, this power, this flux of energy that has it out for all mankind, for everybody, and you got to be careful. Even though they won't say the devil, they're still kind of on that same vibe, and they're very open to that. These are the people who are constantly thinking they're being cursed or generational curses. I did a video about that, but they're talking about it in a very individual way. Curses. They'll talk a lot about curses all the time, and bad juju and things like that. They're very focused on that type of energy, and I think a lot of it is because it's just a hangover from, like I said, the Abrahamic religions, where that is something that unfortunately is taught, is that if there's good, there has to be bad, and the bad is this devil or whatever, Satan, if you will. So be careful of that. That's a level of advanced witchery. You have to shed that, and if you're doing these bigger spells, or these spells with so many other pieces, or like I say, spells on spells on spells, you got to release that, because now you're on some advanced witchcraft stuff, and we don't have time for that. Like, come on, you're doing some other stuff. Because when you're manifesting all these other changes in your life, you can still have your little morning ritual of, putting your good intentions in your coffee or tea in the morning as you stir it and you speak positivity. You can still be doing kitchen magic, hoping for good health, making some soup or something and making sure it heals you and keeps you whole and protects you from illness. You can still be doing glamour magic in the middle of all that. That's what I mean when I say advanced, witchcraft. We can do a little bit of everything, and honestly, we could do it kind of all at once. But it takes a very focused mind to do all these things. I mean, think about it. You're already doing it already. You work. I mean, if you're working a full-time job, or you're a stay-at-home mom, or you're somebody like me, and you're just the houseman. You manage your home, and then you have other interests and other things you do, and I mean, you ever really get caught up in like something on Netflix and you binge watch it, and you watch one part one day and you come back the following day or something like that. Then on top of that, you have some other project you're working on. Let's say you're really crafty, you're working on crafts. And then you decide to put braids in your hair, so you're braiding your hair at the same time. You have relationships, you got kids, you have other commitments. All of those things are already happening, and you're just living. This is life. You're just existing, and meeting all these roles and these expectations in the process. You're not exhausted necessarily, because this is life. It's seamless, This is how advanced witchcraft works. It's just seamless. Once you accept it and you shed all the stuff you don't need because it's honestly holding you back and making you think that, oh, it's so much work, I gotta do so much stuff. No, you don't. Full moons, new moons, whatever moon phase. You charge your crystals, you put them out in your yard, you say your words, you put them out there, you come get them the next day, you believe they are charged, okay? You got these other multi-layered spells happening all at the same time. You have a ritual with your ancestors every morning. You go to an altar, you pour water, libations, and you know, say a few words. You may pull one card a day, tarot card. You leave that out. Sometimes you write it down. Sometimes you just, you know, it just resonates with you. You just keep it as is. It maybe you take a picture with your phone and you say you're going to journal about it later. I do that sometimes. The point is, that's a bunch of different witchy stuff, right? It's just seamless. It's just living. It's just part of your life. Yeah, all the while, you know, you're manifesting. Not even doesn't have to be something for yourself. You know, your sister is sick, and you know she's really sick, and you were working on a spell to not only heal her. You know, you're pulling in other practitioners to send healing energy. But you understand, once she's better, you're already thinking once she's better, her living conditions has to change because, you know, this aided in her becoming weak, you know, susceptible to getting sick. So you're manifesting lifestyle changes that will help your sister. And your sister knows that she's receptive to it. She's at her weakest point. She's receptive to that healing energy, that positive energy. So you're doing all that while still taking care of you and yours, you know, and your own, your health and everything else. These things are very doable, is my point. That's advanced witchery, the way I see it anyway. The other thing that I kind of wanted to go into, just a tad bit, and I promise not to go too much on a tangent about it, is someone asked a couple weeks ago in a comment about what's it like going into, oh, they didn't say it like that, but I'm going to frame it that way, being basically a black person, or I guess a non-white person in predominantly white spaces in a pagan community, right? And physically, like, you know, so you go to some sort of pagan gathering or a meeting, a meetup or something, you know, festivals, whatever, and everybody's basically white and you're black, or you're just not a white person. That's the first part. And then I want to get into my own personal experiences. So part one, the first part, I exist, I have melanin in my skin, I'm me. I don't walk around thinking all the time I'm a black person, and I don't remind myself I'm a black person. Do I see white people walking around and I realize they're not like me? Yes. As a black person living in so many places where there's really no black people most of my adult life, at least since I've been married to my husband, because the places we move, it's just that's how it's been. I accept it. That's kind of the norm. We moved a lot over the years, every few years, so I'm used to standing out and no one knowing me, so they look at me different anyway, like literally different, like who's she? We don't know her. So I'm accustomed to introducing myself and saying hello. For the most part, I've never had anyone say, oh, I'm a racist, you need to die. Like, I've never had any experience where people like immediately rejected me on a basis of a hello. Most people say hello. There are rude people in every space, so that's that part. Now, personal experience is a little bit deeper than that. This is just, you know, saying hello, going to places. I don't know if I told you guys before, I used to use meetup.com years ago to find pagan community in person. I don't know if that's still a thing. Yeah, no, meetup.com is still a thing. Probably not now during COVID, but anyway. Yeah, I used to do that, and I would go. My husband would be my bodyguard. He would drop me off. He would never let me go by myself because he's like, they could be lure you into trying to kill you. Valid. So he would drop me off usually, and dropping off meaning he would sit in the car and wait for me. So I was always under the pressure of I'd like to make connections, but I realized I can't talk too long because this man's sitting in a car waiting for me. But anyway, I would meet people. I would do that and kind of get out because I wanted to interact with people who were actually, calling themselves witches or pagan or whatever. Anyway, and there were always going to be white people there. It always. So, and those experiences, for the most part, I one in particular that stands out. I can tell there were some people there who were not used to being around someone black. Not in a way where they were mean or fearful. In a way, they just seemed very curious, and they didn't mean any harm. And hey, if I'm that experienced for them, cool, whatever. Outside of that, it was just some awkward moments. Nothing too stands out where it's a big deal, but just you can tell people are processing like, oh, she does that too. Yeah, we're all humans together. I'm human first. I know there's cultural, but I'm human first. But once we got past that, after a couple of meetings, I felt like everybody was like, oh, okay, and she just happened to be black. That's kind of how they saw me. But I'm a witch. I'm practicing witchcraft, so they're seeing that part too. Anyway. So, I had positive experiences there. I'm sorry, they're doing lawn work outside if you hear that blower. But anyway, that was my experience for the most part, positive. I really didn't have anything negative. There was one experience where I walked away wondering how much was it race or just ageism or just, a silly young lady. This was a different group. It was a small group. Why is it so loud? I shut all the doors. Anyway, there was a small group, a meetup we did, and the young lady, she was just a bit condescending when she was talking to me. She would listen to everybody, but when it came to me, for some reason, she kept trying to correct me and how I would pronounce things, and yeah, she was like, I remember she would say tarot. She would say tarot. They're tarot cards. I was like, I'm not saying that. Tarot cards. Anyway, the point is, it was like stuff like that. Just a little weird. And I remember looking at her like, are you serious, lady? And she was younger than me. She could have been like my daughter. So it was weird that not my daughter. I could have been her auntie. I wouldn't have been, she wasn't that young. But anyway, the point is, we have moments like that where she would say things like that. And it wasn't anything, she was like that in general. You could tell she really believed in herself. So, like I said, it was always like, is this about me being black or is this, just her being silly? That was one experience I had. I will say this. This is in all these communities where I'm dealing with white people. And I prefaced all this this way for a reason. When I lived in South Florida, so now I'm around a lot more people of color, and you're around a lot of Hispanics, people from the islands, brown people. It's a bunch of brown people. We'll just say that, right? Really, they black though. But anyway, I remember going into this Hanukkah there, and there was a black man up front, and then there was they were I don't know which island. I don't know if they were, honestly, don't get me, I couldn't tell if they were Haitian or Jamaican. I don't know, or even Dominican. I don't know. I didn't ask, but they didn't give me a chance to. I was with my daughter. We go in. So first of all, he stared at us like, "Why are you here?" Like he was looking at us like, "Why are you physically in this store?" And we said hello, and he just stared. He was like, "Hello, did you need something? Help with?" First he said, "Do we need something?" He was like, "Do you need help with anything?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I know what I want. I'm good. I'm just looking." And she and my daughter looked at each other like, "Okay." So that was really uncomfortable. And I'm like, "Is this store a front for something?" Like, then a woman much older comes out from the back, and she just stared, like she's just looking. "Did you need service?" Like she asked me something. Did I need services or something like that? I know she didn't speak English very well. Something about services. I barely understood what she was saying. My daughter had to tell me in the car somewhat what she meant. But anyway, the point is, she was so nasty to us. It was like they wanted us to leave. So, I ended up purchasing one thing from the store. I still purchased something, and then I left. Um, that was the weirdest negative interaction I had, and it was by people who were of color. And then I went to another store, and the same thing happened. Um, Different location, totally different, and I had a similar experience where um, they kind of look at you funny, and it's like I'm not coming in there like with jewelry or anything on or anything like that. It's just very unwelcoming. Now I did find I eventually found a botanica when I was there that I liked, and they were all Hispanic, and the young women were working in there, and they were very friendly. Everybody was really friendly. The energy was good in the store, so I continued to shop there. But boy, yeah, those were my negative experiences. I was like, well, even if I did want to solicit your services, why are you so mean? To me, that doesn't, being mean to people, and I guess she felt like she needed to protect herself. Now, if I was to look at this really with a total witchcraft lens on, I would say maybe she was threatened by me, maybe she sensed something about my energy. She couldn't, scam me or, hold wool over my eyes or whatever she wanted to do. So, that immediately made her put her shields up. That's possible. Who's to say? Like I said, I didn't go in there and start asking a bunch. I wasn't even asking questions because I know what I wanted. I didn't need, them, and I was friendly to them, and we were the only people in the store, so I'm gonna be friendly. Anyway, those were my more negative experiences. For the most part, I didn't have any negative experiences dealing with all white people in pagan spaces. I've gone to pagan festivals. The weirdest weird was when at the festival they had a little session going for hoodoo, and I go in there. It's some white guy teaching me hoodoo and a group of other people, and I wasn't really doing too much hoodoo at that point, but instinctively I rejected everything about it. I stayed for the class. I was cordial. I'm not rude. And he was saying basically he was in a mountain somewhere in Virginia or something like that, and that's where he picked up picked up learning and things like that. And I respect what the man was saying, but if you're going to teach stuff like that, you need to be teaching the whole history and then, giving it more context. Anyway, I have problems with it. Then at the same festival, I went into another group. My husband came with me. He gets dragged to these kinds of things. He is not about this life, but he was there. And he'll listen, he's respectful. He'll listen to, he doesn't even really ask. He did ask a question. It was light, nothing crazy. He was engaged in the conversation, another session we went to. And there was a group of people there. Again, it was all white. We were the only black people there. And I got the feeling maybe they were involved in some other stuff by looking at their tattoos. I was like, maybe they might be part of a whole other group of people and they just happened to be pagan. And they kind of gave us weird looks, and that was weird. That was the only time I ran into people like that. I've never run into like people who were like white supremacists or something like that, who were also pagan. I know that's a thing, but if they didn't let me know. But those people, we kind of walked away thinking that was their deal. And there was only two of them, a man and a woman. But anyway, they didn't say anything else, and we didn't say anything to them. And I was grateful my husband was there. So, I mean, if they had said something, it would have been a problem for my husband because he would have said something back. Anyway, but that's pretty much my experience. I know that there are other people that I do know who, again, in South Florida, run into issues being just Black American and dealing with those who are Black but coming from, like I said, the islands, Spanish speaking or whatever, or Haitian, Jamaican, who are also practicing. We're just gonna say pagan. I don't want to get into all the other stuff, but the point is, there's been some butting of heads and conflict. It's like they're not necessarily as welcoming, and then those who are identify as, I guess, Latin, Latinas. I'm trying, guys. Forgive me. I'm trying to differentiate, because when I lived in Miami, or the Miami area, I swear I was like, okay, nobody is just regular black hair. I walk up to people, they don't even know what I'm talking about. They can't even understand me, and I can't understand them. That used to happen all the time. It's like, this feels so weird. Like, I assume you're like me, but you're not. But anyway, so yes, I do understand there's been some differences. Like, they're just not as welcoming into their spiritual community if you're a black American. I know that's a thing. Now, I don't really get around so much anymore at where I'm at now, where I'm in spaces looking for community, whether it's black or, I doubt if I found, let me tell you guys, if I find an all black witchcraft community here, we will be, that's a whole new YouTube channel I'm going to be talking about. I'll be so excited. But I'm not really looking for that right this moment. And I don't know if I'm open to just all white people groups again right now. It would really just be a case-by-case basis. I'd have to get a feel and feel the energy, but the climate we live in right now, guys, I'm not looking for someone to think they have, just treat me like a normal person. Treat me like you treat the white chick over here, the white witch. Like, just, we all the same. We same in that case. I'm not looking for preferential treatment. I'm not looking for you to do, treat me like you would treat a new person coming into your group. That's pretty much it. And right now, I don't want to deal with that, white guilt, all that stuff. Not in my spirituality. I don't have time for it. So anyway, I probably wouldn't be open to that. So, and if anything changes, I'll share it here, but I doubt that. So probably not. And where I live is mostly white, so I'm probably going to just be the only black girl there anyway. So if I find a group like that here, if I choose to look and find a group living here. So that's that on race and witchcraft and me and my interactions. Sadly, most of the couple times I had issues, it was people who look like me. They didn't talk like me, but they look like me. So that's that on that subject. So I don't want this video to get too long, but I do want to do a little bit more, another video, kind of framing it out a little bit more concise on advanced witchery, because a lot of us are probably sick of hearing about, witchcraft 101 stuff. Let me show you a candle spell. I don't mind candle spells, but what are we doing with that candle besides, making a wish on the one thing, Show me a room full of candles, and all those candles have different intentions and different herbs you're using, and you got this potion you got to drink, and you got these oils you're going to rub on yourself. They rub them on the candle, and you're all aligned with it. You're doing it on the full moon. You might be sitting outside, the windows open, there's a certain scent in the air, incense burning. Maybe there's another person involved, and they got their own agenda for their own magical things that they're doing, and you got this other thing you're working on together. Man, let's talk about that. Let's talk about some crazy stuff, like mixing it all up together. Yeah, let's get into that. let's have those conversations, right? The fun stuff, the stuff you were brought in, that drew you into magic anyway. You were thinking about doing all these different spells. Something's boiling, and cauldrons going, and there's smoke, and there's this. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. So I'm gonna do a video a little bit more concise, not a little all over the place like I'm doing right now. I'm kind of off the cuff with it, but yeah, stay tuned for that. But thank you for watching. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please like the video if you made it this far, because I know this is a long video. Thank you, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and of course if you've subscribed, thank you very much. All right, bye.